would like to welcome you to the second annual State of the Community. We started this last year because we want you guys to know what's happening. And we have some friends over here who are willing to share their information that you can get it straight from the horse's mouth. So this, I think, is one of our best events to kick off the year. In front of you, you have the brand new Frankfort Focus. We decided last year that we were going to debut this at our January event. It's brand new. We started this last year. We have several. If you want to take some, we have some at the back. We would like to see these all over town because you guys are in this. We have articles about who has anniversaries. We have just up-and-coming things that we've got going on in town. It's our positive way to put our members out there. And we appreciate you guys all putting sales ads in here, and the State Journal does this for us, so we're pretty excited about that. And again, if you want to take some with you to put in your lobby or at your place of work, if you've got somebody who comes in and they're waiting, we would love to have these in your space too. So take a breath and we'll all get going. So again, thank you for coming. I do want to thank our sponsors, Community Trust Bank and the Frankfort Plant Board. We couldn't do what we do without our sponsors, and we have so many that we appreciate what you do at all of our events because, again, without you, we can't do these events. So thank you for that. I'd like to thank our President's Club sponsors. We have a new banner, so we have all of our President's Club sponsors on this. Those are our sponsors that do all of our signature events. And again, we couldn't put those on without our signature friends who give us the funds to put on the events for you guys. I would like to thank this morning Thornhill Education Center for your lovely centerpieces. They are fabulous. They brought them to us this morning. And we partner with so many people in the community that this is just another thing that Thornhill does for us. So Kelly, where are you? Thank you very much. We appreciate you. All right, so right off the bat, I'm going to thank, again, our Frankfort Plant Board and the Community Trust Bank. And then our media partners, we thank you for what you do for us, for all the events that we put on that you guys help us with. We're going to do the presentation of the State Journal Resilience Award. So Kathy, if you'll join me up here. Okay, so on behalf of the Mary Latek, the advertising director of the State Journal, who could not be with us this morning due to illness, we are proud to present the second annual State Journal Resilience Award in her absence. The dictionary defines resilience as the capacity to withstand or to recover quickly from difficulties, or in a single word, toughness. Your hometown newspaper has certainly been resilient, marking 121 years of continuous publication this year. 2 world wars, a Great Depression, numerous natural disasters, and a global pandemic, just to name a few, haven't stopped the presses from rolling and keeping Frankfort and Franklin County residents informed about their community. So we thank you to the State Journal. The State Journal is proud to sponsor this award and put the spotlight on local businesses that have their own stories of resilience. With that being said, we sent out a poll to ask for some of the criteria was 35 years in service, who have withstood the storms over time, and who is a giver to our community. And this person, above all, drum roll, this person had, by a landslide, the most votes, and I got stories that I'm going to publish on our Facebook page because they were so great. So, with that being said, the Office Pub and Deli is the clear winner of the 2023 State Journal Resilience Award. John Presley moved to Frankfort in 1952. He graduated from Frankfort High School in 1965. John spent 1967 and 68 in Vietnam as a guest of the United States Army. So thank you, John, for your service. In 1975, he was elected to the position of the commander of the VFW Post 4075, and he was the very first Vietnam commander of the VFW here. In 1979, John opened the Office Pub and Deli. He made it through COVID with the help of city and state workers and, of course, all his loyal customers who ordered to-go food that year. The Office Club and Deli hosts both the Optimists and Kiwanis Kiwanis Club Weekly, the Lions Club Monthly, that we're both part of, so we appreciate you. They give back to the community as often as they can and have participated in our Chamber's Friendsgiving since it started 2 years ago, which we greatly appreciate. In April of 2023, this year, John will celebrate 45 years in business here in Frankfort. And again, it is with great honor that we present the State Journal Resilience Award to Mr. John Presley and the Office Pub and Deli. So John, if you'd like to say a few words, we'll get some pictures after.
I'll try not to take too much time. She says you're busy today, so. Thank you all so much. Tish, thank you. I'd like to thank the State Journal, of course, and I'd like to thank the Chamber of Commerce. It's 45 years and just a little bit of time that I've started the pub. And to make a joke out of this, I didn't know I was going to get a life sentence when I started the pub, but here I am. But it is very gratifying and to have the community behind you, especially in times like we had COVID. And the state and the city came together and helped us in the restaurant business and other businesses, and certainly do appreciate that. Again, thank you so much for this award. I'm very humble, very surprised, but I appreciate it so much, and I know my people do, and the community does. Thank you.
Okay, so I would like to now introduce Miranda Penn from Community Trust Bank, and Miranda is going to say a few words from our sponsor.
Thank you, Tish. I am Miranda Penn from Community Trust Bank. I'm here with Paul Leroux, the branch manager of our Frankfort West location, and Dale Talby, our local commercial lender. It's an honor to be able to sponsor this event because I know it's going to be informative and it's a wonderful opportunity to hear from so many local leaders all in one spot. So I want to stop for a second and say thank you to Tish and Susie and Joy over at the Chamber for all you do year-round and for putting together this wonderful event. Thank you.
So on your table, there's a little piece of paper, and if you have questions for somebody who is speaking today, we've got all their names at the top. You can just circle their name, write your questions. We do ask that you keep it to 2 questions each so we can get through all of them. If you can just wave that up when you get it finished, Susie and Joy will come around and they will take those. And I just want to thank my chamber team. Susie and Joy, we don't do anything without each other. We are a true team. We value each other, and I value them so much, so I just wanted to tell you that. And the Chamber's doing great things this year, so we've got a lot going on. We are at the helm of our new leader, John Graham. John, if you'll just wave, he is our chair of the board this year. And if you are one of our board members, would you just all stand up, because we have a phenomenal group of board members that guide us and lead us at the helm of John. So we appreciate you guys all so much. All right, now I'm going to bring up one of my favorite people because she does so much for us. Kathy Lindsay is not only a board member, she's a community giver of every one of us. And she has a great team, so we appreciate the Frankfort Plant Board and all they do for the community. But Kathy is our chair for our Government Affairs Committee who puts this event on, along with several others. So I'm going to welcome up Kathy Lindsay.
Thank you. Hey everybody. Welcome. Happy New Year. Haven't seen a lot of you since the holiday, so welcome. Glad you could get out this morning, enjoy some fellowship with some of our community leaders, and talk about the good things that are going on here in our community. First of all, I am from the Frankfort Plant Board. I'm the Director of Marketing and Communications. So I spend every day of my life talking about all the great things going on at the Frankfort Plant Board, so this is going to be easy for me today. Just real quick, I do want to recognize Gary Zing is here today, and he is our general manager of the Frankfort Plant Board. Have two of our board members here today, our board chair, John Cuban, and Stephen Mason. So thank you all for coming. Our board members spend a lot of time on issues that are happening here in our community and ways that the Frankfort Plant Board can be involved to help our community move forward. So we appreciate the work that they put in. It's not an easy job, so thank you. This year, the Frankfort Plant Board is celebrating 80 years of proudly powering our community with the most valuable resources, which is electric, water, cable, internet, community TV, and more. Well, you may not know about FPB. We're about more than the services we provide. We are a nonprofit public utility that is owned by the community, and that means you. So congratulations. There are many benefits our community enjoys from owning a public utility. We live here. We're right here in our community. We're ready available to customers. And by the way, that is 24 hours, 7 days a week. We have a network operations center that we have somebody there all the time to answer the phone, pick it up. If you have a problem with your service or things going on, just give us a call. Decisions about the operations of FPB are made locally at open public meetings, so you can come anytime and tell us about what's going on or what you need to know or things that you have going on or things you'd like the board to talk about. Local flexibility, reliability, and quality of service are major advantages for the community in attracting and retaining commercial and industrial customers. So we're very excited about that. We're ready to always invite new people to our community. Because we are local, our customer utility dollars stay right here in the community, creating jobs and supporting the local economy. FPB is among the largest employers in the area with 227 employees and nearly $13 million payroll. So FPB annually returns around $230,000 in occupational taxes to the city of Frankfort and Franklin County. And we returned nearly $1.2 million to local vendors last year. We know that our responsibility as a public utility to not only serve the community, but also be engaged in the community, and that's how we're sponsoring events like this. We work to build partnerships with different organizations in our community. As I'm looking out, we've done a lot with a lot of the people that I see. I see Ellie from the Capital City Museum, Thornhill. We work with our city and county governments. We partner with the city government to install EV charging stations in the city at no charge to users. We provide community water fountains and bottle fillers in the city and county parks. We provide free community Wi-Fi zones in our downtown and parks. The cable crew, hey guys, they've worked with city and county government for years to ensure that all public meetings are accessible. Our crew covers all meetings live and airs them on Cable 10 and Facebook Live. We support our schools by providing annual scholarships for our high school students. And our Cable 10 crew also covers all the local high school events, a lot of them. And they air the games live and also on replay on Cable 10. And finally, let me give a little plug for a little show we have called Around 10. It's Frankfort's live morning show. It airs on Cable 10 and Facebook Live on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 10. We invite local organizations to come in and talk about things that are going on in the community, events they may have. So I invite you, if you have something going on, any event or projects that you're working on that you want the community to know about, give us a call and say, I want to be on the show. We'll bring you on. We'll talk about it. Let me see. That's all the stuff that you probably already know, but let me give you a little update from last year on things that we have going on really quick. I know because Tish will come take me off the stage. Last year we did talk about the Affordable Connectivity Program. That's where you can get $30 off for your internet if you have a child in either one of our school systems, and I believe it's any of the schools now, you are eligible to get $30 off your internet, and that is a federal program, and you can just go to our website, fpb.cc/ACP, to find out more about that. I just want to make sure everybody knows about that. We want to talk about it anytime that we can. Another update that we have, a project we've been working on for a long time, is the reservoir at Tanglewood. It is complete, and it is in operation, and we're very happy about that. The reservoir that was there was over 135 years old, and it was time to replace it, and that's done. And they're going to be finishing up the landscaping there in the spring. So I know all you people at Tanglewood are very excited about that, to have that done. We are too. Nextband Fiber internet service continues to be available to more customers. This 5-year plan is bringing gigabit speeds to all of FBB's service territory, as well as residents currently unserved by broadband service. We're looking into that. Currently, we have more than 8,000 users currently have access to these gigabit speeds, and we're building out the system more and more every day. Nextband Stream is new. I want everybody to know about Nextband Stream. It's the future of cable TV. It's the same TV service you're used to receiving from FBB, but it comes in an app. Everybody's all about apps. That's coming in an app. And it streams over your FBB internet connection. No set-top boxes needed, which is awesome. And all of the video packages for FBB cable are available on Nextband Stream for the same price. So, power rates. It's a big thing right now. We're at a time when everything seems to be going up. All the power rates are going up. We have worked in the past to sustain our rates. So right now, FPB's residential electric rates are 24% lower than the Kentucky average and 34% lower than the U.S. average. So that's something that we're really proud of, something that we're trying to keep that record, and that's another advantage of being part of this community. We know how important it is to keep those rates low, and how important it is, again, to invite businesses and stuff to come to our community if we have low rates. Renewable energy resolution is something that we passed back in August 2021. The FPB Board of Directors unanimously passed a renewable energy resolution committing to provide reliable, affordable, and sustainable, environmentally responsible power to supply the demands of the customers. It's something that everybody's moving toward, and we know at the Frankfort Plant Board how important it is. This includes pursuing opportunities, including a community solar project, energy audits, the electric vehicle charging stations, and smart meters. The board committed to encourage our power supplier, which is KYMEA, to advocate for actions to increase renewable energy to the fullest extent feasible while maintaining reliable power, competitive rates, and minimizing the rate volatility. So another big project that lends to that is our Ashwood Solar Facility, which is something that our power supplier has signed a contract with. Under construction, 800 acres in Lyon County in Western Kentucky through an 86 megawatt power purchase agreement. We're purchasing 100% of the energy produced by the project over the next 20 years. So that's very exciting for our community. Once completed next year, it's going to produce enough energy to power 14,000 homes. We're also doing a community solar project right here in Franklin County. This provides an opportunity for FPB customers to purchase renewable energy, so you can purchase energy right here from our community. You can subscribe to the solar blocks or shares, and that will offset their usage through bill credits. So if that's something that you're interested in doing, you will have the opportunity to do that. We're going to be starting on construction of that this year. So big things are happening. And then finally, I just want to give a little summary about what we're doing in renewable energy. Before 2019, FEB's energy portfolio was primarily coal, which was 80+%. Since then, FEB has taken significant steps to expand its use of renewable energy sources. We're excited about the future of solar and other renewables. And coal has been reduced to only 56% of the portfolio. And so by late next year, FPB will have one of the most environmentally friendly energy portfolios of any utility in the state. That's 19% carbon-free and 53% coal. Thank you. By 2029, all existing KYMEA carbon energy contracts will have ended. And then beyond that, we decide what our future is as far as renewable energy and how we're going to invest in it. FPB, I can't say enough about it because we are part of this community. We love doing events like this. We love hearing about what our city and county leadership is doing, and then how we can assist them in helping them get those things done. So you are our owners, and FPB is one of the most fabulous assets that you own. So congratulations. Are we perfect? No, I'll say that, we're not perfect, but we are continuing to make improvements, and that is our goal, is continuous improvement. So we thank you for listening to me, and I'm not done yet, because I'm getting ready to invite all of our speakers up here, because we're really getting ready to start the show now, because we're going to put them in the hot seat. So thank you all, and I want to invite our speakers, come on up. While we're waiting, I will say I want to recognize all of our Government Affairs Committee, and I'm trying to find where they are. Oh, yeah, hand it up. Thank you. All right. Again, this event is an event put on by our Government Affairs Committee for the Chamber of Commerce. We have a large committee, and that's awesome, because we have people from all different businesses who have input in what we do and how we lead things. Some of the things we do is events like this. We do a Chamber Day at the Capitol, which is going to be this year. It's March 7th, 8:30 in the Annex, room 113. And I'm sure if you're a Chamber member, you'll be hearing all about that coming soon. We also do candidate forums during election time, and that's something, again, we like to get all of our community engaged and informed on what's going on and what our candidates have to say about things going on in our community. So let me introduce our Government Affairs Committee really quick. If you're here, feel free to stand up, but it's a lot. We've got Kristen Cartwright from Cap City Radio. She's the vice chair. Hey, Kristen. Karen Wheeler, Beam Suntory. John Graham, Expree Credit Union. Jonathan Vaught, McAllen Solutions. Rodney Williams, Whitaker Bank. Terry Bradshaw, KCDC. Holly Spade, AT&T. Birch Bragg, Locals Food Hub. Carl Lawrence, Mortimer Bibbs. Daryl Thompson, KSU. Ryan Newcomb, West Banco. Tom Smith, Buffalo Trace. J.C. Young, Association of Magistrates. And Tish Shade from the Chamber. So we're all, we meet a lot. When I decided to be chair of this committee, Tish was like, we don't meet that often. We meet a lot because we have a lot of work to do, because we want to be engaged, and we want to make sure that all of our businesses are represented in the things that they need from our community. So I will say, if you are from a business and you have concerns about things that are going on in our community, and if we need to take them to the city government, county government, or even our state government, come to us, let us know. Contact Tish, and those are things that maybe we can help you with. All right, here we are. These are our speakers, and I'm going to kick off right now. We're going to get started. I know Tish told you to write down your questions, and we'll do questions at the end. I do know that Mark Kopp has to leave when he gets done speaking.
Try to stick around as long as I can.
Okay, excellent. Okay.
Well played.
He's got plans. So, first I want to introduce a newcomer to our community. Sherry Satterley is the superintendent of our Frankfort Independent Schools. This is her first year in our community, and she came to us from Danville. So I'd like to hear what she thinks about how things are going here in Frankfort, and so let's welcome her up here.
I was told before I got here that I have 3 to 5 minutes, so Tish, get that 1 minute fan ready, because I can tend to be very long-winded, and I do have to say this. It's nice to stand up here and finally see faces I recognize, because early on in this type of situation, I didn't know anybody. And so I see people at each table now that I recognize, and it's finally making me feel like I'm a part of this community. My family and I have finally been able to relocate, so we are actually here now. We relocated on December 30th. So I'm going to try to tell you a little bit about myself and what's going on in the Frankfort Independent Schools, because I do feel like it's important that the community knows who is leading their schools and their students and their staff. So the reason the Frankfort Independent Schools was attractive to me is because I've spent my entire 18 years in education in a small independent school district, and that's just my professional life. I also graduated from one. So this was the only job I looked at and the only one I applied for, and I want to point out 2 of my people back here. I have a current board member sitting back here, Sabrina Gordon, and a former one, Amelia Mary, who actually was on the board that hired me. So I just wanted to recognize them for being here today. I taught music, was a guidance counselor and a middle school principal and assistant superintendent before I came to Frankfort Independent. So that's my background in a nutshell. I have two boys, 10 years old, 4th grade at 2nd Street, and 4 years old, preschool at 2nd Street. And I hope and pray that they both get to be Panthers and that they both get to graduate from Frankfort High School, because there are wonderful things going on in the Frankfort Independent Schools. Just a few things that are going on. Just a little bit about our school. So 2nd Street, I'm sure you know, houses pre-K through 8th grade and has approximately 650 students currently. Some of the opportunities we offer our students are visual arts, science, technology, engineering, math, music, choir. I'm going to go fast because I don't have very much time. Chinese, physical education, library, media, gifted and talented, and 4th through 8th grades also use a platform called Summit Learning, which provides some of our instruction in an individualized, personalized pathway. As a parent, I have loved every bit of it because it meets my student where he is. Frankfort High School, whew, this is tough. Houses grades 9 through 12, current enrollment looks to be about 320 students. We offer the following career and tech ed pathways on campus: culinary, early childhood education, broadcasting, business and marketing, and we do send students to the Trailblazer Academy in Mercer County. We have students in electrical, automotive, carpentry, those types of pathways that we can't offer on campus. We are also adding a pathway next year free of cost to our students through Eastern Kentucky University. It'll be my favorite one. It's the teaching and learning pathway, because I'm sure you hear every day about the national teacher shortage. So if we can start to build that capacity early in 9th through 12th grade, we hope that they continue that as they choose their post-secondary options. We also offer dual credit courses at Frankfort High School in place of advanced placement courses. Currently, we offer 17 dual credit courses through both Kentucky State University and the University of Kentucky. And that's not counting the one-offs where students are taking one at Asbury or at Eastern or a college of their choosing. We also, I'm sure you read in the newspaper that Frankfort High School was named a National Blue Ribbon School this year. One of only 297 in the nation, one of 5, I say 5 schools in Kentucky because I'm counting the public schools in Kentucky that were Blue Ribbon schools. So we were able to go to DC and celebrate that this year. I would like to say that most of our classes sit around 70 students total in a grade level. Currently at the freshman 9th grade level, we have 105 students, which I think is it's a pretty good record for Frankfort High School. So our enrollment is growing, and we are one of the only counties, I found out, we're in the DFP process this year. Through our local planning committee, we are one of the only counties in Kentucky that is projected to grow. So that is good for us. We operate on about $11.9 million operating budget, 25%, only 25% of which is taxable property. So we do a lot of amazing things with very little. So you should be proud of where that money is going if you live in the city limits. Let's see, I love Cable 10. Kathy, I wrote this down when you said that about covering live events. My youngest had strep this weekend, so I didn't get to go to the Franklin County game, but I got to watch it on TV at home. It was wonderful. Wonderful. Let's see. The Office Pub, I wrote down some things while I was watching earlier, has quickly become one of our favorite spots to eat. I love a good cheeseburger. I wish Mr. Presley was still here so I could tell him that, but it's one of our favorite spots. And one last thing I'll say before I leave, and Sabrina's going to get tired of hearing me say this because I said it last night and I'm going to continue to say it. We are currently, if I'm correct, I asked Eric Kennedy at Kentucky School Boards Association, and I see a lot of women in the room. We are currently, I'm pretty sure, the only sitting board and superintendent that are all women in the state of Kentucky. And we might be maybe the second or third in the history of Kentucky, so I think that's pretty amazing. I'm very, if you can't tell, very enthusiastic, love to talk, would love to talk to anyone. I brought some flyers if anybody wants that information. I also have an open door policy. If you want to come talk to me, if you want to ask me questions, please, 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 at any time, reach out to me, email, call. I am always here. I'm here for this community and these students. My mantra is I will use my seat at the table to do what is just and right for all students. Thank you.
I will say about the Office Building Deli, we all love it. We have our meetings there, the Kiwanis meetings and the Optimist meetings. Cable 10 used to come all the time. Their favorite was a Wildcat Burger, so put a little plug in there for it.
Rotary's meeting there this week.
And Rotary's meeting there tomorrow. So, our next speaker I want to introduce, he's Mark Kopp. He's the superintendent of Frankfort County Schools, and I'm just going to leave it at that so we can get up here, so I don't want to miss questions about him.
I thought we were going to have an Oscars moment there where someone started playing music to get her off the stage. I'm very pleased to be here and get to speak with you all and talking about all the great things that are going on in One Team FCS. That's what we call ourselves because we are one team. We are one team of 15 schools with over 6,300 students, with over 1,000 employees, over 450 teachers. And we do see ourselves as a team because we all work together. We have passionate rivalries between Western Hills and Franklin County, and that's great. But at the end of the day, we're all working towards one vision and one goal, and that's every student succeeds. That is the promise that we have made to this community, and that's the promise that we will continue to keep throughout our time here. And that one team also, I think, it incorporates Frankfort Independent. You know, they're all our kids, whether they go to 2nd Street or Bondurant Middle School or wherever. So that's our passion in what we do. I don't want to spend all of my time talking about all the great things that are going on in Franklin County because it really, truly would take more than the 5 minutes, and I'd get that 1 minute thing coming up here very quickly. What I do want to talk about, though, is the future and the excitement and the word growth. There's a song, a Beatles song called Something. You ever heard that song before? You know that song? And then when it gets up to the chorus, it's, you're asking me, will my love grow? Well, I always think about, you're asking me, will Frankfort grow? And if you asked me that question 6 years ago, I would be very hopeful that it would. And then there's been some bumps in the road. I'm not hopeful anymore. I know it's happening. Sherry just mentioned a stat about it. We are growing. And the future for growth in this community and our school district is huge. It's bright. I'm so excited to work with the leadership in the city and the county. We can't wait for what's coming down the road. And specifically in our school district, we are growing. And we're looking at building new buildings. Our Board of Education is getting ready to make some decisions on a new school. There are a couple of possibilities right now. One would be an elementary school on the east side of town, and one would be a new Bondurant Middle School on the west side of town. So over the next few months, the board is going to be making those decisions. We're always looking at anything we can do to provide an environment that will help students grow and succeed. I talked about earlier our promise that we make, every student succeeds. The other piece of that tagline this year is we all thrive. We've just come off of a time of COVID that all of us have lived through, and we've made it through. And now it's time for us to really start thriving instead of just surviving. I think those 2 years of COVID were a time of survival. Now it's a time for us to thrive. And I say that to our community. Now is a time for us to thrive together. Let's think boldly. Let's think passionately. Let's do everything that we can do to work together to create a better Frankfort and a better Franklin County. The pool situation. You know, I got up here last year and I'm sure I ticked off a few people talking about how we needed a pool. Since that time, we've had multiple meetings, and I think the mayor's going to talk a little bit about that probably. We're very excited about what the possibilities are with renovating the Exum Center at Kentucky State. And I think the great work that's going to come of that and the great assistance it's going to be for all of our students and all of our community. Let's also talk about the bourbon industry just for a minute. There are our strongest partners, some of our strongest employers, in addition to the Frankfort Plant Board, obviously, in the community. There's been this Peaks Mill discussion about bourbon warehouses, and people have asked me to comment on it. I'm not touching that with a 20-foot pole because I do really truly see both sides of that. However, from just a strictly school district perspective, you know, we need funding, and we try very, very hard to to not put the burden on our taxpayers. As a matter of fact, Franklin County Schools is the only school district in this area that has lowered its tax rate each of the last 2 years by at least 0.5 cent. So that means we've lowered our tax rate over a full cent over these last 2 years. Our folks are paying lower taxes and we're still getting the great services and the additional 4% revenue because of the growth that we're talking about. And because of partners like Buffalo Trace and Jim Beam. Currently, there's been a lot of talk about the bourbon barrel tax, and there's been some discussion in the legislature about the bourbon barrel tax going away, and I'm sure that would really help the bourbon folks. But at the same time, just for real numbers here, we get about $3 million in revenue a year from bourbon that's sitting in barrels that they pay taxes on. That helps us to build new schools, to provide new opportunities, to create a teaching and learning pathway, which we have also already done. So I say that to say, if you have any pull, let's not repeal the bourbon barrel tax, please. And one last thing, I just want to end with this. We are so proud of our sports. We're so proud of all of our extracurricular activities, our academics, and our kids. And everything that we do, every decision that we make is with one thing in mind, making sure that we keep our promise that every student succeeds. Thank you so much for your time this morning.
Thank you. See, I like that. We survived and now it's time to thrive. So I like that a lot. We're going to hear that again. Next, I want to introduce our next speaker. We're very excited to have him here. First time being here, I believe. It's Dr. Ronald Johnson, and he is the interim president of Kentucky State University.
Thank you, Mr. Bryan. I certainly will be brief because I hate to have the hook come and drag me off the stage. But I'd like to say, that this is a new year, and for Kentucky State University, it's not the beginning, but it is essentially a start for us to move in the direction that this community needs, and of course, our campus requires. And so there are a number of good news stories. One, of course, we're working, of course, with the city, the county, and the Y, and to bring not just the pool, and I'm sure the mayor will talk a bit more about it, but actually a greater experience for the community in terms of interacting with the campus through Exim. For Exim, we are in fact engaged right now in a roof project. I believe that Exim has like 7 roofs, and it's a pretty extensive and expensive process. Some elements of that roofing process will have to wait till the spring because of just the nature of the beast in terms of roofing, that they're flashing and some of the elements can't be done in cold weather. But in addition to Exim, our ag side of the house is actually doing some very interesting things. We're working right now, or waiting right now, to deliver the equivalent of a rail car so that we can actually start to work on sustainable farming, also known as vertical farming. And that is something that I think will be very, very of great interest in the Franklin County, as well as, of course, in Frankfort. That if we can actually begin an industry that produces high value-added product, that actually mainly those products go to restaurants within 30 miles, of course means to Lexington, that actually can then bring in additional revenue to the community. Most people understand in terms of regional and certainly city development, the way it works is that you actually have to export high value-added items that then bring cash into your community, which then has a multiplier effect and allow the community, the budgets to expand. And so that's one of the areas that we are looking forward to getting that in, that the beginning of that effort in terms of sustainable farming. In addition, we're really laying out a framework for strategic partnerships. And of course, the beginning of that framework, of course, lay right here on the stage with leaders, both in the county and in the city, to work with them and the why to bring Exum into the community. But there are a host of other ideas that we'll be looking to engage the community with, and we are going to have a consulting firm come and help us build a roadmap. The idea of a roadmap is that we need to have a long-term strategic direction for Kentucky State. And building that roadmap is going to be essential for us to actually build that and to have that plan. The plan is, what should Kentucky State look like 20 years from now? Not 5 years from now, 2 years from now, whatever, 20 years from now. We have to actually go beyond the usual horizon simply because the world is changing so fast. We are in an environment where technology, the environment, the preferences, the mobility of people are all changing at an escalating rate. And as a consequence, we can't just talk about tomorrow. We have to actually go way out into the future and then work backwards. Well, out in that future, there are relationships with pretty much everyone in this room and certainly within this region. And we have to now work on that. We'll have a team coming in and they'll be working with, of course, Tish and others so that we can actually know who to talk with so that we can have a better understanding. Kentucky State University has got to actually do what it has been designed to do, and that is to elevate the success of our students, elevate the success of the region, elevate the success of the Commonwealth, and of course beyond. That's what we have to do, and that's what we are intending to do, and we'll be working closely to make that happen. Last but not least, since I see the sign and last but not least, I really want to say thank you to Tish, and because she has been really there on the campus, around the campus, having conversations with me and others on the campus to make sure that we are engaged in the community. You know, Kentucky State University is called a school on a hill, and the problem with being on a hill is that separates you from everyone else. And what I see as Kentucky State is it's an old term now, pretty old, it's about 15 years old, as really a student place. That means that we are simply a partner with the larger community, and we are endeavoring to make things better for all of the people in this community. And so I yield the floor before the hook, and thank you.
We all want to see the students elevated at KSU and elevate our community through the work of KSU. And that happens when all of us are on board and work together, and that's a great sentiment, so thank you for that. Our next speaker is our mayor, and he is halfway through his term. Can you believe it? More than half. It's a little more than half. Let's welcome our mayor, Lane Wilkerson.
Thank you, Kathy. And thank you, Tish, and the Frankfort Area Chamber of Commerce for putting this event together again. It's great to get together once a year. We should do this more often. But get together once a year and talk about all the exciting things that are happening here in Frankfort and Franklin County. And I want to point out, we do have a couple of newcomers on the stage today. And boy, we really work well together. We have good relationships with all of our leaders. And I know you heard from our superintendents and Dr. Johnson. And you can get the sense that Frankfort is moving in the right direction. And that's the takeaway I want you to have today is that as Superintendent Kopp said, the growth, it really is happening now. I don't think it's a question anymore if Frankfort's going to grow. It's happening. And I think the momentum is on our side right now, no question. So let's talk about some of the exciting things that are happening. And looking back over the last year, I think 2022 is one of the most productive years we've had in the city of Frankfort in recent memory. We've completed a lot of long-term projects that we've been working on. And we're making stride towards some of our big strategic long-term goals as well. We're showing that we're not just a city that makes plans, but we're a city that actually takes action on those plans and activates them. For instance, we had the 2nd Street Tiger project that was completed last year and is now fully open. And that was a significant investment of over $7 million in local, state, and federal funding. And it improved the streets and sidewalks along East Main, Capitol Avenue, and 2nd Street. And as you all have seen, this project includes new signage, landscaping, and more public art. We also continue to work on a Parks Master Plan that our commission activated the year before. And one of the things is the Dolly Graham Park Splash Pad. It was dedicated last year, and that helped, well, it was a big success, and it helped our park, Dolly Graham, be awarded the Facility of the Year by the Kentucky Recreation and Park Society last year. Big honor. Also on the Parks Master Plan, as President Johnson and Superintendent Cobb mentioned, we're working toward an indoor pool and an indoor recreation facility. And we're proud to partner with KSU, the Central Kentucky YMCA, Franklin County Fiscal Court, and the Commonwealth of Kentucky to study the adaptation of the Exum Center to be a fully functional YMCA and indoor pool. So that's work that is ongoing. We meet monthly, and I know you don't see this work, but it's happening behind the scenes. And when you're wondering, is anything happening? Something is happening. And also, the city, we made a significant investment at the end of the year toward the Juniper Hills tennis courts as well. We're going to completely resurface and rebuild the tennis courts there. And there's more work to be, we're doing more work, and we provided more funding to really remake our park system, because as we know, the amenities like that, that's what's going to attract families, businesses, and visitors, attract and retain all of those. We're also, our commission is really committed to the downtown master plan that was adopted in 2018 with the support of the entire community. Last year we worked with state leaders, including the Secretary of Transportation and the Transportation Department, to secure over $3.5 million in funding to redevelop the Broadway Bridge, just around the corner here. And it's going to be an elevated pedestrian crossing connecting both sides, and it's going to be similar to a park. If you know the Big Fort Bridge in Louisville, that's what we have in mind. So work is ongoing on that. And the old Civic Center site, the parcels B and C as we know it, got a big boost last year when we were finally awarded a federal transit grant, nearly $7 million to start the construction on the transit center and parking garage on that site. And work is ongoing. We hope that this year, we have selected an engineer to build that, and we've selected a firm to build that structure. We expect work to begin in late spring, and once that happens, you're going to start to see things move over there, tangible progress. And we talked about plans earlier. One of the things that we finally were able to start and do a lot of was the wayfinding master plan. That was a plan that was put in place in November of 2014. Recently, you may have seen signs going up around town to help visitors and people who live here alike get around town. And it's turned out much better than what the drawings had shown. I think the signs are beautiful, and it's going to enable us to get the people here and keep them here. And that includes the Welcome to Frankfort sign down here on the Broadway Bridge trestle as well. A lot of people, they visit the distillery down the street, and they may not know that the downtown is just around the corner, but hopefully that'll be a way to pull people into our downtown. And one of the other plans is the Home Street redevelopment plan. Remember this plan? This was also something that was a plan that was, so to say, put on the shelf, but we were lucky enough to work with the federal government last year to get over $600,000 raise grant. And it was the only one awarded in the state of Kentucky last year. But that's going to enable us to redesign the Home Street corridor to make it more pedestrian-friendly, car-friendly, business-friendly, and just make it more appealing and hopefully spur more development, because eventually, as Frankfort grows, we're going to need that area to grow with it. So, like I'm reading through a laundry list here. How are we doing on time? But we also know that attracting and retaining workers and visitors and families to live here is important, but we need to also grow city revenue through business development, and that's going to mean providing an attractive environment for a wide range of businesses and private investors To that end, last year our commission, we approved another TIP district, which is going to help the paddocks development out near the interstate in 127 get started, and you probably have seen a lot of dirt being moved over there as a result. And we also worked with the State Transportation Cabinet to design an innovative plan to help ease the traffic and congestion in that area and provide access to the site. So expect more work to come there. And we also did more work with the Remote Frankfort Initiative. At the end of the year, the city allocated funds to create a marketing and incentive program to attract those workers who have the ability to live anywhere and that are looking to make a move. Believe it or not, they go to the internet and they look for cities that are offering incentives. So we want to put ourselves out there as a place that is attractive because, as we all know, Frankfort is a great place to live. Cost of living is pretty low here for the time being. And also, we have, thanks to the Frankfort Plant Board, we're a gig city. We have high-speed fiber internet. So thank you to the Plant Board. It's one of our sponsors. And general manager's in there. Now we're going to have places for everyone to live, and that's we're recognizing that this year. The city we want to encourage more residential development, and to that end, we passed an ordinance to lower our sewer tap-on fees. That's one of the first things I heard when I became mayor was that our sewer fees were high, and it's hard to for developers to it's extra cost. So one of the things we did, we wanted to modernize that and make it uniform, and we actually lowered it. So now we're below average compared to our neighboring cities. And we also passed an industrial revenue bond last year to encourage a new senior living facility on the corner of East-West Connector and Martin Luther King, because we recognize that we need all types of housing. We also approved last night the funding of a housing study, which is going to be important for any developer that's coming into town. They're going to need to know what types of housing can we support, and that's something that the city stepped up, and we're going to help fund that study. Is that my time? I thought the mayor had more time. Okay. Our commission also continues to make strides in other important strategic goals like accessibility, inclusion, and sustainability. This year, our board adopted a paid parental leave program for city employees, which is already being used twice, as far as I know. We revised our salary structure to make Frankfort more competitive to surrounding communities because we have to retain our human capital, and we need that continuity. As Kathy mentioned from the plant board earlier, the city of Frankfort passed a renewable energy resolution to become sustainable by 2030. And at the time, it was a pretty audacious goal, but we're confident that the technology is going to catch up, and we want to be in the lead position so that when the technology does catch up and federal funding is now starting to roll out, with the work that we're doing right now, we're going to be first in line, we hope, at least in the state, to receive some of these federal funds to be a leader in sustainable energy. And we completed phase one of our work with the National Renewable Energy Laboratory, which is a world-class group out of Boulder, Colorado. And we're one of the only 2 cities that I know of in the state that have done that, including Louisville. The city also adopted a finance committee to help modernize our investment policy and our finances, and that's already led to a minimum fund balance that we put in place that freed up about $1 million that we were able to put toward one-time expenditures. So that's something that we're proud of. And we also established the CARES Coalition with our community partners. Thank you very much. That's going to facilitate communication and coordination between all Frankfort agencies that are helping the vulnerable. So finally, as I stand here today, I do think that Frankfort is the city on the move, and we have momentum like now more than ever. And we're going to need the support of everyone in this room, all of our partners, and it's good to see everybody in here. It's like all of my worlds are colliding at once. And we're going to need the positive energy from everyone, because as productive as 2022 was, I believe 2023 is shaping up to be the transformative year for Frankfort. You're going to start to see even more tangible progress. Things are going to start happening, and I think this is the year we put to rest the notion that Frankfort is a city that makes plans and does not take action. So we're a city that activates the plans, and we're a city that not only invests in our people and our places, but we're investing in our future. And thank you for your time this morning.
All right, thank you, Mayor. Appreciate that. A lot of stuff happening. And he mentioned all the people in this room and the world's colliding and what everybody has going on. When we try to figure stuff out, I just say we lock the doors, we bring in lunch, and we work everything out. We figure out how we can make everything better, and we just do it today. Now I want to bring up our final speaker. He is brand new to our county judge. He was elected in November, recently sworn in, and previously served as a magistrate on the Frankfort County Fiscal Court. We're glad to have him here as our county judge. It's Michael Mueller.
Well, being the last speaker is probably good and bad. Two things I never thought in life I would do. Wear a suit to work. I can promise you that. Second thing is get up and speak in front of a bunch of people. So I'm gonna just kind of talk freely because that's kind of who I am. It's an honor to sit up here with all these people. And it's an honor to look out in this room because I feel like in the last 15 years, Paola and I were talking a little bit ago, about 15 years, we've all been saying, is Frankfort going to do anything? Are we going to do anything? And it's like, come on, we can do it. And I truly feel like we are there now. So I want everybody to give yourselves a round of applause. So I'm not going to sit up here and talk about the past because the past is the past. I was a magistrate for 4 years and I proudly served. I would like to acknowledge Squire Siri Sebastian, our new county attorney Max Conley, and our deputy judge Jack Kennedy for being part of this amazing team. That we're starting off strong. We're, as Kathy said, 3 weeks in. So I am literally, you're not anymore. I'm literally the new guy on the block. But it's exciting. Just in those 3 weeks. I've taken time to meet with the mayor, the city manager. The conversation is going well, and I think that's things that we've been missing for years. For some reason, the city and county didn't talk. For some reason, I can't say why, but things are changing. The schools are talking. We're all talking, and I think it's just the beginning of what we're going to do. And I do think I would agree with the mayor. This is the year that we're finally going to get things moving. So some things that we're doing right now just in county government, the last 3 weeks, Jack and I have really spent a lot of time with the staff looking at procedures, how things are functioning, and what we can do better to be more efficient, especially for our developers and people like that, because we've heard over the years, oh, you make it hard, it's red tape, it's this, it's that. So we're trying to acknowledge all those things now that we've heard over the last years. Hopefully next month I'm going to put together kind of a coffee for all contractors to come in and kind of talk about what can we do better, what don't you like, what doesn't function well, so what's holding us back. So those are just some things we're touching on. We're currently hiring, I think, like 7 positions. There are some openings come the end of the year, retirements, things like that. Houston and I talked about it, and he said, I'm not going to hire those. We'll let you do it, which was great. I appreciated that. So now we're literally every day interviewing people. We have a lot of new people starting. I think we have 2 or 3 hired already. One of them I'm super excited about is a new grant writer. Our grant writer retired. So we have a lady that's coming on that's just going to be phenomenal. She starts February 15th. So I think everybody knows there are tons of federal money coming down the line for projects, sewer, water, all different types of parks, rec. So that will be a huge asset for us. I think one thing I would really like to do, and I talked about this as a magistrate, and people think I'm kind of crazy about it, is having the magistrates and the city commissioners meet quarterly. And y'all are probably thinking that could be a train wreck. It could, but I think we need to get everybody talking. We really do. We need the city commissioners to be comfortable with the magistrates, and the magistrates to be comfortable with the city commissioners. so we can kind of know what the left and right hand's doing. And so that's just another example of how we're going to kind of change things from this point forward. We have some projects going on right now that will be big. We have a new road department. You know, people don't think about the road department, but you know, they're the ones that are really the backbone of the county. You know, they do the snow removal, they clean the ditches, they do things that you wouldn't even think that they do. So it's been one of those cans that have been kicked down the road literally for 20 years. And so we're at the final stages. We are hoping within the next month or two to be able to send it out to bid and build a whole new facility. So that's a big thing in our world. I think I've talked a lot about, and I'll talk about it again, Lakeview Park project. I mean, parks are huge. I mean, they're to me, one of the biggest things in our community that we should be proud of. So we had a committee meeting yesterday with the whole court and talked about Lakeview Park. It will be on our next agenda next week we've already contracted with Codell Construction and Bob Pelosi and Hitchcock Group, you know, as far as design build about improving the park. So next week we'll have on to basically spend a lot of money to do all the traffic studies and the geological drilling and things like that. We want to do all the prep work before we kind of get going. We don't put the cart in front of the horse. So it's a lot of those things that people don't understand you have to do before you build, especially with the way our ground is and terrain and caves and everything else. I think the mayor then voted last night on the KISOP, the MOA between Farmdale Sanitation, the county, and the city. That's been another thing that's been kind of going on for years and years and years. So we're happy to be working with everybody, the plant board, to try to figure out sewers on the west side of town. You know, everyone keeps talking, you know, are we going to grow? Are we not going to grow? Where are we going to grow? You know, we're doing a comprehensive plan. You know, that's taking longer than probably any of us want. But, you know, hopefully we'll get it right. And we'll be able to identify the farmlands that we're going to protect and the areas that we're going to grow in. You know, I've had multiple conversations with developers and bankers, and they're like, we just need to figure this out. Let's just lay it down. Let's figure it out. Let's know where we're going to go with this and not guess anymore. You know, we've been kind of plugging and playing a little bit, and I hope those days are over, that we can identify where we're going to grow, how we're going to grow, and what we're going to protect and preserve. So I think there's a lot of things going on right now. Super exciting. We've been working with the plant board about internet broadband. You know, I mean, a lot of people don't realize that live in the city, but you know, people in the county aren't available to broadband. So we've been working on that with the governor also. You know, trying to get the funding to make that happen. So that's a huge initiative that people don't think about unless you don't have the internet. The housing study is going to be huge. You know, the mayor touched on that a little bit. The county's going to pay for half of it also. But I think, you know, instead of the old way of doing you know, what do we need? Let's just guess. Let's just build this. Let's just build that. To actually do a housing study that will identify, you know, these baby boomers are going to need this, or we need starter homes for this income, things like that. I think it's something that we've talked about for years, and we've always guessed and just said, you know, hey, we'll just build this or build that and fill it out. But I think we're at a time where we're running out of capacity, so what we do build needs to be the right thing for the future. So I think that's really exciting going down the road. When I met with KCDC, I thought it was interesting. We talked about homes being built in Franklin County, and usually, I think Terry said it's usually average about 100 a year, you know, in a good year, and there's well over 1,000 being built right now. And so I think everyone knows that's exciting. That's exciting, but we're having a hard time keeping up with it because we didn't forecast for it. So, you know, we need to really work with the sewer department to figure out what can be built, where they can be built, what capacity can be handled. So really that's going to be one of the things that kind of holds us back a little bit now, trying to get all that figured out. But again, I mean, we're having meetings all the time, we're talking about it, and we're figuring it out. So I think, to me, communication is key. You know, when you don't have communication, you have problems. I mean, even in your home life, whatever. So I think the more we can communicate with each other, the better off we'll be. And I think that's starting to show. We also have, and I couldn't tell you last time one was built, we have a new hotel going over Sales Road. And I heard there's another one right behind it coming down the road. So that's exciting. You know, when's the last time we had growth like that? You know, hotels being built, you know, and I think that speaks volumes because those people know what's coming down the road. I think that just shows that Franklin County and Frankfort is moving forward, which is exciting. On a different level, I've been working with other county judges. James Kay and I a lot of people don't know, but the Glens Creek Road has been closed for, I think since that flooding, a year ago or something, it seems like. So he and I have been talking, writing a letter to the governor. They've assured us that they're gonna have that road open by the end of this year. We hope that's true. Because that road is putting a lot of traffic on Millville Road, Duncan Road, and we all know that's kind of an area with the factories, with the new gas station there, with all the building going on, it can only handle so much that way. So I think if we can get that road back opened, it will help a lot of things. You know, Castle and Keys, our neighbor. So, you know, I think it's just kind of being respectful with all that. Really? Man, I didn't think I was going to have 5 minutes worth of stuff. Another thing that people don't realize and think about, there's been a lot of talk about Rivertown. You know, let's build a riverfront. I know that's a city thing, and that's cool. But what people don't realize is right below us, the lock is locked. It's closed permanently. Anderson County's lock is closed. They concreted it down. So there's no direct way to get from the Mississippi to the Ohio because of that one lock. So we're working with, there's actually 4 of us working on that. James Kay, Casey Ellis in Owenton, Aubrey Gritton in Anderson County. We're all working together. We're petitioning to try to get the governor to open that lock. It's, I think, $20 million or something. But, you know, how cool would that be that people could start in Mississippi, go all the way to Ohio, come through Frankfort, stop in Frankfort, and experience it, you know? There's no fuel from Frankfort to Ohio River. But I know Owenton is, Casey is willing to do a fuel station. So, you know, it's all about working together. So it's not just Frankfort, it's about building things for the region and attracting people to our community. So that's all I have to say. Again, thank you all for everything you do. I appreciate you, and my door is always open, so any thoughts, ideas, comments, you know where to find me. Thank you.
The theme I'm saying today is working together. I think that is what we should be doing. So we appreciate all that. Everybody's partnering to get things done. And I think on a larger level, I don't think it's a crazy idea to put leaders in the room to try to figure out how to get things done moving forward. We all have the same goals. And it's just a matter of how we're going to get there. And that's what has to be worked through. Now we get to the fun part. We get questions. So I'm going to get started. If you have a question, or I think Tish and Joy and Susie are going to come around and gather up the questions that you have. We'll get started. The first one is for the mayor and the county judge. Either one. Y'all listening? Okay. How will local opioid abatement funds be utilized? Who wants to take that one? I think they want to hear from both of you, so here you go.
Yeah, I'll be short and sweet. That's a great question. That's something we haven't talked about. You know, I think so far we've received the county $230,000-ish. It's in a separate account. I don't know. We haven't talked about it. We haven't made any meetings about it. But I do know last week I attended a town hall in Lexington that talked about the opioid problems in black communities and how, you know, people aren't reaching out for help because the people that are working there aren't the same type and things like that. So very interesting, the dynamics of how all that works. But one thing that's been kicked around is working with other communities next to us and piling our money to do something a little bit on a bigger scale. So I'm up for if anybody wants to talk and meet about that, but we have not addressed that yet. We just got the first amount of funds, and I think we get 20 or 30,000 the years after or something like that. So it's money, it's good money, don't get me wrong, but it's not, you know, millions. So we're going to have to be frugal with what we do.
And I'll echo that we haven't sat down to determine how we're going to spend this, but it's not, it's tens of thousands of dollars a year. And we're going to sit down with Blaze Chief and Dusty Bowman and Shelley Hearn, our community policing advocate, which I didn't mention that, but to work with them to see where we can most effectively use these funds. And I didn't mention that in the first part of this because we were keeping it positive, but I went to a conference of mayors last week and heard directly from Attorney General Merrick Garland, who this was the #1 concern was fentanyl and opioids, and how are we going to deal with this, because it's ravaging communities across the country. So it is one of the things we need to focus on, and mental health in the coming year.
Okay, that was a duplicate question. I had someone else to turn that into, so We've addressed that. This one is for our superintendents, both of you. What can the community do to support your work with students? Anyone? I'm sure there's plenty of things.
I think that's a pretty easy answer, and I hope I speak for Mark at the same time, is that just be involved. We want to be, at least in Frankfort Independent, we want to be community-friendly schools. Both of our schools just achieved family-friendly certification, so we are through the Pritchard Committee. So we are exploring options on how to expand that out to our communities, even if it's just coming and filling out volunteer paperwork to read to students. Our doors are always open, and just being involved and coming and having those discussions that I referenced in my address about how to be involved and how to best use your skills to help our students.
That's a great answer, and I would just add, be on the lookout for some information coming. Franklin County Schools has been invited by the governor's office to participate in the Everybody Counts initiative, and what that is it provides opportunities for our graduating seniors in the community with job placements, with scholarship opportunities for those students going to post-secondary education. Everybody counts or nobody counts. That's really kind of our philosophy, and we're very excited about that initiative. So provide open doors to to our students, to your businesses. That would be fantastic.
Thank you. I'll go ahead and I've got another one for both of you guys. What would be the possibility of merging the two school districts to share resources and increase revenue? Has this ever been explored?
I don't think Sherry wants to answer this question, so I'm going to go ahead and just say, while that would be a fiscally efficient decision, both of our school districts have great tradition. And I don't think that there's that much of a push or an initiative to merge those things. But at the same time, we're going to collaborate together. Both of our school districts. We can be rivals, but we can also be members of the same team. So I don't really see that as something that's in the future. Would you agree?
I'm going to stay seated. I think that both districts are thriving, and when districts are thriving, I don't think that's the answer. I think we partner well already, and I hope Mark would tell you that I've reached out about possibilities of utilizing some of their CTE pathways that we don't have and that Trailblazer doesn't have. We currently send some students to county for JROTC, and we are definitely willing to have our doors open for opportunities that we might offer that their students don't have out there as well. I don't see that in the near or maybe ever future. I think both districts bring a lot to the table, and that's what makes them both unique.
Thank you. This next question is for our mayor and county judge. What are your thoughts regarding the numerous vacant commercial buildings, and do you have a plan for reducing new builds and filling the vacant spaces? People want to know.
My thoughts, I don't like them. And if you look at it downtown, some of these are actually in development right now. So they may not have storefronts that are occupied, but there is work going on a lot of buildings downtown. More than I remember since I moved back 20 years ago. And there's a lot of, and I hope that some of those will open up this year. But no, I think that citywide, some of the old commercial centers, I do think that we need to consider, one of the things that I want us to consider is a vacant property incentive, so that we could do something where we could offer property tax breaks or occupational tax breaks to the owner of the property, so that they could get some of the tax benefits, let's say on occupational tax. So if they recruit a company to come into their vacant space, whatever the payroll is, they could get some type of incentive off of that. So it takes it, not only, it gets the owner involved in helping recruit the company into that space. So I think that that's one of the things that another city in Kentucky has done that I'd be interested in looking at. But we're open to any suggestions, and even we have in the past done the revitalization grants for some properties, and we have some significant investments in some of the downtown buildings already, and I'd like to see some of those open up and be rented and open for business. So I think we would consider that again or some other incentive.
I would agree with all that. From the county aspect, I think a lot of the buildings that we see empty are professional office space. I think everybody knows that state government has changed from this point forward. So I think, where we're at with those are, when you look at rezoning them, honestly, taking them down, they're good, valuable pieces of land. I don't think the offices are going to get filled up like they used to. People are working from home. Like I said, things are just changing. So I think that's another thing that's just going to be changing all the time, and it's on our radar. So yeah.
And to that end, there is a bill in Congress now that they're considering, and that is a conversion tax credit for anyone who converts it's more for the big city, but office buildings into residential. So that's something we're watching closely as well. And if that passes, that'll be another incentive that we can help developers take advantage of.
Okay, this is for Dr. Johnson. What do you feel is the best way for community organizations to engage students for internships, employment, and other pathways to infuse our community with collaborative efforts?
Two-part answer to the question. For one, we are now revitalizing our career center. The people that were there before I arrived, they left, and at least one is at University of Kentucky, and I forget where the other one is. But we're bringing in a team to get that going. And so I would say that if you have internships, you could reach out to my office, and that would be to my executive assistant, Amy Olds. So it's amy.olds at kysu.edu. She will then ensure that your interest is forwarded. The second part is that we're in the process of really doing a relook in terms of our academic programs. And so what we want to do with our academic programs is to make them really market-driven. So you can actually take someone who's in marketing and then give them additional writing and additional digital training so that they can actually engage in digital marketing, and in particular the creative side. And so we're looking to do that, and that's why we'd love to have conversations with you about your needs so that we can actually, as we transform our academic side, that we actually transform it to be more market-ready, market-focused.
Thank you very much. This next one is for Superintendent Cobb. Are you ready? How will FCS meet the growing needs for additional support for children who are struggling with mental health needs, trauma, and families impacted by substance abuse and incarceration?
That is a good one. That's one of our biggest issues in education, whether it's Franklin County Schools, Frankfort Independent, Scott County, whatever. I can tell you about what we've done proactively over the last couple of years. We received ESSER funding from the state, from the federal government, and with those ESSER funds, what we did as a school district was we created social worker positions at every one of our schools, which we never had before. Obviously, we already have guidance counselors. We needed to bring in social workers because of the incredible needs that our students face every day. Those positions are working just wonderfully, and we're very pleased with what we're seeing there. We also have invested very heavily in our special education services. We've expanded our use and our outreach of those positions that we have, and we've created some additional. We've also created behavior interventionists for each one of our schools. So at every one of our schools, whenever a student is having a really difficult day, whether it's caused by trauma or whatever, the behavior interventionist is able to pull that student, have one-on-one time, and be able to de-escalate those situations. We also are working very closely with Amy Snow. Amy is she formerly is our employee, and we have just created an MOA that she is now working with the Wanda Joyce Robinson Foundation and administering a grant that's going to be also very impactful for kids who are obviously impacted by incarcerated youth, but also by substance abuse issues. And Amelia Where you at? Yeah, we talked at the very beginning about expanding our opportunities to work together. So great question. It's something that's on our minds and hearts, and it's something that we're very passionate about helping our students with.
I got another one for you, along the same lines. Okay. What is being implemented to support the growing amount of students who present with autism, ADHD, and other behavioral and developmental needs?
And this has been also a situation, and I think Sherry would be able to kind of tag team with me on this. I'm not asking you to, I'm just saying you could, because we're all facing that same issue. The amount and the incredible increase in the rates of autism in our students is significant. I mean, I can look back 20 years ago to today, and it's 1 to 2% to 13 to 14%. That may not sound like a lot, but it's an incredible amount. We've actually created different, and I don't want to get into too many specifics because of some issues with confidentiality, but we have created some individual units for students who are autistic. And we contract with an autistic expert who comes in and works with our students, and more importantly, works with our teachers and staff, our aides and our teachers who work with students with special education with disabilities. So that professional development piece is the most important piece that we do.
Thank you. This question is for Dr. Johnson. What is the status of the search for a new permanent president of KSU? And then a second question that can accompany that is, are you a candidate for the permanent presidency of KSU?
I'll answer the latter part. I came to really help the institution turn itself around. Then the first part of the question, a search is not underway at this time. Part of the reason why we are going to build a roadmap is because we want to avoid for the institution a stop-go sort of policy. You bring somebody else in and that person comes in and they have their own ideas and you go this way, but the resources then don't grow and you ultimately hit a point where you start to go back down. The institution has gone through the cycle for a long time and the cycle has been like a downward trend. And so what needs to happen is that we actually have a long-term strategic direction for the institution. Then at that point, you can bring in leaders who are actually charged with making sure that there's no daylight between that path and where the institution is going. So we're trying to do it in a wiser way. Our board chair and our board really understand that we're not just here to turn around an institution. We really want the institution to be in a situation where it truly thrives over time.
Okay, thank you. So I have a series of questions here that kind of go along the same path, so I'm going to try to get it all in. And this is for the mayor and county judge. The first question is about Civic Center or Conference Center. Is there a discussion of building either with the government or a private entity?
Yes, this really is one of the most important things I think that I could accomplish, or we could accomplish during the next couple of years is to get a new conference center is what I'm calling it, not a convention center. I don't think of the Civic Center like we used to have. I don't think we're going to get another 5,000 seat arena, but we do need a place where we can have meetings for not only statewide organizations, but potentially nationwide organizations as well. And discussions are being had, I should say that, but nothing to report at this time, but it's top of mind.
Kind of like this sitting down thing. I will say from the county part, it is in the Lakeview master plan to build a roughly 100,000 square foot multi-use arena facility. And so in their original schematics, there was a space for meeting rooms and things like that functions could be held also. We haven't got to the design part of that yet, so input would be good on that. But yes, I mean, I think we're all talking. We're trying to figure out what the community needs, and we're heading in the right direction. Oh, here we go.
And I want to add, I mentioned the Beatles earlier, now I'm going to talk about Styx. You know, anyone a Styx fan? Mr. Roboto, Renegade, right? I went and saw Styx a couple of weeks ago in Corbin, Kentucky. And Mr. Miller and I discussed this earlier. If Corbin, Kentucky can have a beautiful arena that could have high school graduations and different events, why can't the state capitol?
Now there's more. When will Frankfort get an indoor community pool or rec center?
Well, I think Dr. Johnson here kind of briefly talked on that. For right now, you know, Mr. Cobb's talked about it also. You know, he would love to do an auditorium on the west side of town for all the swim teams and things like that. We have a lot of seniors and kids that are kind of missing out on swimming. I think it's a priority for everybody. I think the building costs right now for an auditorium are pretty high. But we are working with Kentucky State University, the city, the county, the state, about trying to figure the Exum Center out. So I think that first and foremost will be, you know, the answer for right now. But we are looking down the line for bigger and better things also.
The question was when.
Well, right now, the Exum Center, I mean, they've hired a firm to look at it, so we haven't got timelines yet. They're analyzing it now as far as what's wrong with it and what it's gonna take to fix it.
For
So,
2 or 3 years, we've had no timeline.
right, and we agree with that. We just signed the MOA last month. So, you know, that was prior to my time, so I can only tell you what I know. So, it is moving.
We'll move on. Got a question for you, Dr. Johnson. No, that's not it. Does KSU have any EV chargers or plans to create it for electric vehicles?
For advanced studies?
Pardon me?
Advanced studies?
Just electric vehicle chargers.
Oh,
Yeah.
What we are working on, we do have some, but they're not really designed, they're not really available to the public. What we are working on is to figure out where we can actually put chargers so that public access is there. Obviously, the way that gets funded is through our the land grant side to begin that process. Part of that process, as I said, is a focus on sustainability and bringing those types of benefits to the community. And certainly one of the things that the university itself has done in terms of sustainability is that we are actually engaged in a process where we are reducing our water and our electric use. But yeah, the EV stations are around the corner, but we don't have them yet set up.
Thank you. And we just have 2 more questions and then we're out. This one, I believe the mayor, he addressed in his speech, but this is just to confirm, when will Home Street be repaved? Will it be this spring?
Working with the state on that.
He's working with the state on that.
State question.
Okay, and then the final question, it's circled here for the judge. Are you in favor of the bourbon warehouses in Peaks Mill? Thought we'd just throw that one in.
Thank you. It's coming back to us legally, I can't.
Okay, so to be continued on that, it looks like. So that's the end of our question and answering. We appreciate them doing that. I just want to say thank everyone for coming. I want to thank the members of the Government Affairs Committee of the Frankfort Area Chamber of Commerce. They put in a lot of work, and it's events like this that really pays off. Also, I want to thank Tish and the staff, Susie and Joy, for all the work they do for all of us. They do a lot, and we appreciate that for successful events like this. So thank you.
So I just want to say thank you guys for coming. One of the things that I'm going to say is I see up here today all the collaboration, and we appreciate that as a chamber because we want to do anything we can to help you guys, and we really try hard to do that. So any way that we can give assistance, you know, you have my number. We're all here for you. I think one of the biggest things that we take away from today is our growth that we've all kind of mentioned up here today. We would really like to have to use like one of the big auditoriums for this in the next few years at KSU because we've outgrown the Foundry. We're 15% over where we were last year for this event, so we appreciate you guys coming out. We appreciate all you do for us. Thank you to our board, our staff, our President's Club members, and thank you so much for our community leaders to be able to all be in one place at one time to hear the good things that are happening in Frankfort and Franklin County. So thank you guys all. Thank you guys for coming. We'll see you later.